Welcome to Unsung Heroes Live. Life's biggest questions are answered through intimate conversations with people just like you who've risen above life's challenges and desire to share their knowledge to help others. I am your host, Kristie Knights. Hello, and thank you for joining us at Unsung Heroes Live podcast. I am your host, Kristie Knights, and I am so excited tonight to share with you my incredible friend, Kristie Kennedy. The first time I noticed Kristie was on Facebook and fell in love with the same initials, KK. It is rare, but I was so excited then and drawn in by her level of magnetism and the way that she serves people. She serves people from a heart space and exudes that energy and enthusiasm and passion that she has to serve you. So here's just a little bit about Kristie, and then we'll start talking with her. Kristie's a licensed image enhancement consultant, certified women's worth and wellness expert, who provides confidence and clarity coaching to visionary leaders who are ready to shift from stuck to unstoppable. She is skilled in 4 areas of personal development: mindset, mastery, massive momentum, magnetic messaging, and potential maximization. Ms. Kennedy has a passion for helping leaders who have reached a plateau with the ability to turn their can'ts into cans and their dreams into plans. Her life is a testament that you can shift from mediocrity to magnificent, one bold step at a time. Welcome, Kristie.
Well, thank you, Kristie.
It is wonderful to have you on the show.
I'm absolutely honored. Thank you.
Absolutely. So share with me, Kristie, a little bit about your background, where you come from, a little bit about your journey.
What a journey. I tell you, what is life without some sparkle? But a lot of people don't realize behind that sparkle, there's some struggle, there's some challenges. And I'm an only child from Sarasota, Florida. And I was the timid one. I was the one that was hiding all of her gifts. I had this major fear of speaking in public, and I had to battle, and I still battle, overcoming that internal fear. But I was at the point in my life years ago where I remember being so petrified of anyone hearing my voice. I'm a vocalist. I sing and speak. But I would be in my one-bedroom apartment, Kristie, yes, and I can see myself still looking out the peephole, making sure no one was walking around outside to hear me sing in my own home. So you know how serious it was. I wouldn't listen to my voice on the answering machine. Okay. Even when I was in speech class as a freshman in college, I remember being in front of the class and I just could not perform my speech. And I asked my professor if I could present privately in his office. But fear is something that you just cannot run away from because it will always be there with you. You have to confront it. I teach women now, you can't conquer what you don't confront. And if I never confronted that fear and still, when it comes up, I have to constantly conquer it, I would never progress. I would never move forward. And I wouldn't even be on this radio show with you today.
Yes. So share with us, when do you think was the origin of that fear of your voice?
I can go back in time when I was a young girl watching my mom and dad fight. They would always have these outbursts. And my dad at the time, he was in and out of our lives on drugs, crack cocaine at the time. And when he would come home, the environment just shifted. It would be very, very tense. And so I believe that's where that open door occurred. Because when they would fight, I immediately would run to my neighbor's house. And it was the same thing. Like, when you're an adult and you look back and you start putting the pieces together, like, why am I so afraid?
Yes.
But it was just from that place of running, not dealing with fear. So anytime conflict arose, I would run, and I would do that in my whole life. Anytime something was threatening, I just would run. I would run from the situation. I run from the difficulty.
Okay. Whenever you ran, where did you go?
You're saying, where did I go in that place? In my head or naturally?
Yes, in your head.
Mm. I would go into this safe space of hiding. And I remember just even naturally, we had, like your dirty clothes laundry basket, the one
Yes.
that has a top over it. I would get in that hamper and hide. And it's exactly what I would do in my mind. I would hide. And so even with all the gifts and talents that I had been blessed to have, I would hide. And I could be in a room filled with people, but they would never know that I was there because I was hiding, but I was visible to their natural eye, but I was hiding within myself.
Wow. At what age do you remember that hiding becoming a problem for you,
Hmm.
where you just didn't want to hide anymore?
I would say my senior year in college, that was a very pivotal moment. And I have a quote on my vision board. I do vision boards. And one of them is, I got to the place where it was too exhausting to hide anymore. And I was sitting in the back of the classroom like I always did. And the professor asked a question. And for the first time, my eyes lit up and I felt like I had an answer. It was not the correct answer, but I answered. I opened my mouth and let my voice come out. And it was wrong. But in the back of that classroom, Christy, I began to weep. And it was so greater. It was much bigger than the answer and the question wrong. It was that I heard my voice, that I had the courage to just speak out.
Wow. Wow. That must have been so powerful for you then to be able to recall that today.
Yes, yes, yes. I can still see myself there. And I believe that was the beginning of conquering that fear of using my voice. And I wanted to use my voice for good because for so long, I remember even in middle school, transitioning right into high school, you do the standardized test. And I did not pass the standardized test. So it put me back in lower level classes. And the school system, it was always difficult and challenging for me. And looking back now, it's exactly what I do. I educate women and men. I write constantly, but the school had labeled me basically unintelligent. And so I bought into that label and I struggled for years through school. I mean, literally just to get out of college, it took me about 7 times. They gave the class exam back then, 7 times, and I still didn't pass that math portion because I was just not equipped to succeed in math because I was always challenged in that area. But one thing about me is that I'm determined. I don't like to lose.
Yes, yes. So whenever you were facing all of those challenges academically, how did you feel about yourself?
Oh, I felt internally extremely inferior. And one of my quotes that I love to this day, Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And so
Yeah.
I did battle the low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't know about the power of affirmation to build myself up and that I was responsible for my own decisions, my thoughts that were leading to these decisions, whether they're going to be healthy or unhealthy, that I was responsible for the way that I was thinking. I wish I was equipped back then, but that's something about 2020 vision. It's hindsight.
Right, right. Well, and we all have a journey, and I think we all go through struggles very similar to what you were talking about. Were there times where you felt alone in your struggle?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then especially being an only child, I feel like most of my life I've lived alone. And I think that it's also my strength too, because I'm not one of those women that I need to go out and find someone to validate my opinions. And
Yes.
if I have an idea, I just execute it just because most of my life I've spent alone. But yes, I've been at that place. And it also was an Achilles heel because I had to learn how to allow people into my space. Because as a woman who does not mind being alone, which is my strength, at the same time, it can be a weakness.
Yes, yes. Was there a time where you began to struggle with either anxiety or depression?
Oh, yes, yes. Good old anxiety and depression. Gotta love 'em.
Yes, we have all been there.
We have all been there. But One thing that comes up for me as you asked that question was when I was working in corporate America for someone, and I was in an extremely toxic work environment. And during that time, I remember anxiety being at an all-time high. And I think because I had gone through it for so long, the chronic anxiety every day, and then the thoughts that I was thinking, it goes back to, why I teach our mindset mastery, because I kept feeding into the anxiety. I kept saying, I don't like my job. I'm miserable here. You see what I'm saying? I kept magnifying the negative thoughts. And so I would be crying going to work, which the anxiety led to depression. Now I'm in this dark space, and you're like, how did I get here? It's like your thoughts led you here.
Yes, yes. That dread of going into work, especially when it's toxic.
Mm.
What were some ways that you found to cope with that stress or that environment? Because I think many women can relate to you and the toxicity of oftentimes corporate America.
Yes. Yes. For me, writing has always been a lifeline. I have 40 journals completed, and there will never be a day that I'm not writing. It's therapy. And for me, I would go internally and just start practicing gratitude. So I now have gratitude journals, even to this day, because we know in life we are going to receive, news that may not be pleasant. It's, going to let us down. Disappointments, they happen. The curveballs of life, as I call them, they're going to come at us, but we have to keep swinging. If you're in this game to win it, you can overcome any form of adversity, any setback. And so it was a lot of self-talk, but writing is pretty much my dominant form of self-care. I'm always wanting to be writing back to myself, getting those negative emotions out.
Great. Very cathartic to be able to write and express. So processing your emotions, releasing them through writing was very useful in dealing with the negative emotions that you may have been experiencing at the time.
Yes.
At that time, did you have a support system, a tribe around you?
Yes, yes. My closest friends, I think about Oprah Winfrey, one of her quotes, she says, only quality people. Because as you know, when you're going through difficult times, and if you're the leader, oftentimes leaders tend to find themselves on, out on that island alone, trying to make decisions. But for me, it's been my friends, those that, are proven and trustworthy over 10 plus years. I can rely on them. My church home, that community, the faith community, I find strength in that because, my faith is my foundation. I would not still be here if it were not for my faith. And then at the time, when I look back, extracurricular activities has been the wellness community. I started getting involved in wellness from, working out, aerobics. The wellness community is such a beautiful people because they're always looking at the bright side of life. They're always looking at how can we become better? How can we love? How can we let go of unforgiveness? Whatever it is that may be poisonous to our spirit and our soul. I love being in that community.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much power in our tribe and the benefit of being surrounded by good people. So, Kristie, begin to talk to us about your business and how you arrived at that place in your journey and to begin to coach.
Well, naturally, women always come to me for advice. They just feel good around me because I have some good energy, they tell me. But I never thought about it like a business. Oftentimes the things that we do naturally, we don't think this could be a business because it's our gift. And for me, after years of serving, whether it been through the medical spa and, doing facials, but what I noticed the common denominators was women were coming to me asking for advice, whatever platform I was in. I was coaching modeling and, public speaking, every venue, serving women, makeup artistry. They were telling me their life story. They were telling me their pain. And inside, when someone is hurting and you've experienced that type of hurt, that type of pain, and now you have the answers, you've been there also. It's like the purpose in your own pain is now to provide the solutions to those that are going through it, because you don't want anybody to feel like you felt. if you felt alone. You don't want anybody to feel like they can't move beyond this place where they're feeling stuck. You don't want anybody to be sad another day when you know how to get beyond depression and that you can win. Now you want to share your life on the other side of the adversity, your life after, financial drought, after a sickness. And so for me, that's what my whole company is about. It's helping women to ascend from within and win, because that's where the battle takes place. It's not when we put on all this pretty makeup and get our hair done, our nails done. That's just the icing on the cake. What you want to have is substance. You want to be able to stand when life hits you hard, because it's going to hit you hard. And I want women that come into my presence to be aware of the power that they possess, that they can get through any form of difficulty.
Yes. Amen. That is beautiful. So talk to us about what it means to you to give back to others.
Kristie, it's everything. And I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because there's one quote that says, be the hero that they're waiting for. And so often we discount our own power, our own greatness, our own gifts, our own message. But for me to give back, I think about all the women who gave to me as I was navigating through life, trying to figure out, who is Kristie? What is she all about? What does she have that's special, that's unique, that this world is not offering? And that takes a lot of behind the scenes work. As you know, I have 40 journal school, 15 vision boards. So I'm always studying myself. But to give back, to me, it's what makes life worth living. I cannot imagine not giving. Every single day I give of myself to this world. It's what keeps my cup full. And I always tell ladies, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to pour from a full cup. In order to pour from a full cup, you need to make sure that you spend time alone to fill up.
Yes. Yes. On those days when you feel like you just can't give anything else, what do you do to push beyond that feeling?
That's the day when I'm reading those vision boards. I'm going through those journals. I'm reading letters from individuals whose lives I've touched, whether it be from speaking engagements, their former clients. And I realize that I still have work to do because there's breath in my body. Recently, at the beginning of the year, January 1st, my speaking agent passed. And her death, it did something to me, Kristie, internally. I thought I loved life, and I'm very passionate about life, no matter what state I'm in. Sure. But she was 31 years old. She is married only a year and a half. But one thing about Joanne is that she lived life to the fullest. And she just got a diving certification for a woman who really wasn't a swimmer. She was not taking risks. And so where I am at this place right now is that I have to make sure that I live every second of this day. And that, because no tomorrow is promised. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. And so I'm always asking myself, how do I want to be remembered? If this was my last day on earth, how would I live it?
Yes, that legacy. So I've heard you mention your vision boards multiple times. Share with us how vision boards are beneficial to you and to others.
Oh, yes. If you're a visionary leader, one who dreams, one who is innovative, creative, or just an individual that wants more out of life, I believe it's so important to be able to see it. I always teach, you must see it before you can seize it, obtain it. And a lot of times we lack the clarity. And when you don't have clarity, you don't have power to understand exactly what it is that you want to create. And so if I don't have that understanding, then how can I be progressive? It's hard for me to move forward without that. And so I believe that it's so important, it's paramount that we have a vision before us, because there are going to be those days when, like you said, we don't feel like getting up out of the bed. And our vision reminds us of what we said matters, because we live in a world where everyone is speaking their message. And so in order for me to make sure that I align with the right messengers and the message, and to make sure that I'm living an authentic life, I have to know what's important to Christie, what her values are, her principles are, so that I am not, shifting back and forth. Because as a voice in this world, I want to be crystal clear in the words that I speak, and that I have conviction behind those words. For me, I believe that it's difficult to speak with power if you don't have a solid foundation of your conviction.
Yes. Oftentimes clients will say to me they struggle with decision making and knowing how to move forward, and I will redirect them to their core values, to what means the most to them. And that is the place of clarity. Whenever you're able to define your core values, who you are at heart and soul, and then you're able to make a decision that's best for you. But so many people struggle with knowing who they are, what they believe in, and their core values, because it isn't taught to us. But I hear that you've really been able to wrap your heart around yours. What was that process like, really learning your identity and how God made you and what he made you for?
When you asked that question, Christie, I went back into my mind, and I could hear so many individuals when I was trying to figure out who I was. I remember them saying, just do one thing, focus on one thing. And I realized that God made me multidimensional, and I was trying to conform to someone else's image, someone else's expectation, because they were not that way. And so they wanted me to be like they were, one-dimensional. And so a lot of me was stifled. I was suffocating because I'm a very creative person. And my creative expressions, they need multiple outlets to come out. So one day I may be making jewelry, one day I may be singing, one day I may be writing. The core of what I do is women's empowerment, image enhancement. But even with that, I cannot allow that to be the only thing that I do, because I am multi-talented. And for so many years, I hid those gifts because someone said, only do this one thing. And I think it's a disservice, because when you talk about potential and maximizing your potential, you have to be able to honor who you are, the gifts that you've been given, and use all of them, because that's how you die empty. I don't want to take any gift and talent to the grave. And so I'm not going to allow someone who else may be limited in their perspective, in their viewpoint, to limit me. And so on my journey of self-discovery, I had to be comfortable with being great. And that's why I often teach, you elevate your mental state to great. You don't have to be average. You don't have to be mediocre. It's a decision, because most of my life I was just doing enough to get by. And I had to make a decision. If I'm going to be an impactful leader, that means I'm going to have to let all of me be seen.
Yes. Yes. I love that. That is always my platform, is, transparency and vulnerability for leaders. And, you said it beautifully. Thank you. So talk to us about your services and what you do, what you offer, your strengths to the world.
Yes. So Queen Fidence Image Consulting, I offer image enhancement consulting and impact coaching for individuals that are battling fear, as what we talked about earlier. They're battling anxiety, any negative emotions that are holding them back. I help them develop their internal strength so they can show up powerfully, whether it be to a networking meeting, whether it be presenting at their job, whatever it is that's holding them back. I help them find their voice to be able to speak, and to speak with authority, and speak from a place of pure passion and love, and a place where they can help others. Because a lot of times we start focusing on how we sound, are we going to be judged? But when we move ourselves out of the way and just focus on serving others, we'll find so much freedom. So I love liberating those that feel entrapped, by their self-limiting beliefs, by their fears.
Great. Yes. Yes. So how would someone get in contact with you to work with you?
Yes, I am online queenfidence.com. That's QUEENFIDENCE.com.
Great. That is nice and simple, isn't it? So your business name is very unique. Can you share with us how you developed Queen Fidence, where that came from?
Yes. So I am a pageant girl. My mother put me in pageant when I was growing up, and I'm so grateful for it now. Initially, I was a tomboy. I was the unlikely pageant queen, and I loved to be in sneakers and climbing up trees. And my mom was determined to make a woman out of me. So
yes.
As I look back, I'm so grateful because pageants, they help develop, the leader in me. They help focus on, being polished, being presenting yourself in a manner where, you stand out amongst the crowd. I always tell ladies, why blend in when you can stand out? And so I realized that it was my uniqueness that allowed me to win pageants and using that platform. And it goes so much more. It's beyond, the exterior, the beauty. So my focus is where beauty is believing, because, pageantry, they have a bad name, and they can, the ladies in there, they can get catty. And I never want to be that kind of female leader. I want to be the leader that's always lifting others up. And so Queen Fidence is really you finding your true essence and sharing that with the world, because I believe that we lift as we climb. And so there's enough for everyone, and there are enough trophies for every woman to win. When I would compete, and there would only be one winner. And I don't believe that in the game of life that there's just one winner. I believe that we were all born to win, and we have our own lanes that we win in. And so Queen Fidence is helping every woman to win, at the game of life, playing by the rules that she writes.
Oh, I like that. Great. Good. Thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything else you want to be sure our audience hears about you, your services, or wisdom?
I just want to leave them with this thought. Remember, nothing massive ever occurred by being passive. And if you want to change your life, start with changing your thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, look out, world, because here you come.
That is awesome. Well, Kristie, thank you so much for sharing space tonight on Unsung Heroes podcast. You are a hero. You are touching lives each and every day, and I am so thankful for you. Thank you for joining this episode of Unsung Heroes Live. Each week, we highlight a hero who has created a life of joy and peace despite the challenges. Through their transparency, life's biggest questions are answered. For additional resources and community support, go to uncallcounseling.com. Register today as a member of this incredible tribe. Until next time, I'm your host, Kristie Knights. Be real, be raw, just be the hero that you are.